So this is interesting. There's just a direct break right here on the timetable. Okay, here we go.
You also don't get the choice to betray this time.
Yeah.
Looks like you're awake.
I mean, I guess it would just be a frivolous timeline. Is this the infirmary?
Why are we here?
Do you know what happened at the AB gate?
Kay and I went back to the infirmary, but...
We waited and waited, and the two of you never returned.
So we went to the warehouse to check on you.
We found you passed out in front of the AB rooms.
Kay and I hurried back here with you.
I looked over at Phi and met her eyes. Do you remember what happened just now?
You mean what happened a long time ago?
Yeah. You got him pretty good, huh?
Huh. Yeah, I remember all right.
We can probably find
What are you guys talking about?
We can probably find the marks of her boots still, like, on the back of his neck. Quark!
What am I? Chopped liver?
Alice!
Back among the conscious and not psychotic, huh?
Yeah, thanks.
Grandpa told me what you did. Thanks for finding the medicine for us.
No problem. All in a day's work. Although, I wouldn't mind a little swimsuit action. We are talking to Alice, I hope.
Yeah.
Really grabbing at straws here, aren't you?
Hey, I wasn't talking to Quark! That was an offer for Alice.
Not really my point.
Whatever. Forget about that. Now that you guys are awake, all we gotta do is open the number 9 door.
Huh?
What are you talking about?
Look at your bracelet.
Oh, they played while we were asleep.
Yeah.
It says 10. I have 10 BP.
I've got 15 BP? That means I got 6 more points while I was out.
But how?
You've been asleep for more than 2 hours. We've played the AB game 3 times.
3 times?
Yes. Of course, the color and group assignments were shuffled around each time. But no matter who voted, everyone chose Ally.
Thank goodness it wasn't a round of Sigma Phi and Dio having to face off.
Oh yeah, we would have been totally screwed.
Yeah.
I guess they could have seen that coming and not opened the doors.
Yeah. Or like, they wouldn't plan this whole plan without thinking about that.
One would hope. But imagine if they had overlooked it though.
And now all of us have enough to leave.
There's still the question also of where Akane is in this timeline. If she's
I guess
alive.
she's under the tombstone. We're gonna go unlock the grave, and it's gonna open like a staircase or something, and there'll be a secret room, and Zero and her will be there. Unless, I guess if Zero's gotta be one of us, and I don't know. Because now I'm feeling like, you know, it's not Junpei, it's Zero. Because it just wouldn't, you know, add up with their reactions.
Mm-hmm.
So, I really don't know who... I mean, who the hell could it be? If it wasn't him, and it's not Quark, and it's not Dio, Alice, Luna, Clover... It would have to be Phi, if it's not Temioji. It's either a Temioji or Phi. Unless it's like a future past thing? Is it us in the future? Maybe? I was stunned. How had everyone cooperated long enough to raise all our BP past 9? Was it because Akane hadn't been killed? Without a death to start things off, maybe we'd been less suspicious of one another. Or could the bombs have had something to do with it? We'd all joined forces against Dio, and Phi and I had been able to disarm all of them. All of us had banded together against a common enemy and overcome a tremendous threat. Perhaps that had strengthened our bond. Which, I had to admit, would be somewhat ironic. After all, Dio had planted the bombs that forced us all to work together against him. This must have been what Akane was talking about.
Haven't I told you death was unavoidable? Sacrifices had to be made.
Come on, let's go! go! Let's open the door and get out of here!
Wait. What about him? After some discussion, we decided to leave Dio behind. Alice was the only holdout. She'd complained about wanting to take him back to her superiors, but after I mentioned they'd come back to investigate after we escaped and deal with Dio then, she reluctantly complied.
All right, let's get going.
But we have the key! Remember the key!
Yeah. What if we just left and that was the end of the game?
And the door locks behind us, and then we remember the key, and it's like, oh crap, we can't get back into the building.
Yeah, to be continued.
We've been locked out. Yeah, then we have to jump to a past timeline to be like, wait a minute, this time we need to use the key before we go.
Yeah, zero escape, but it's twice as long because you have to keep jumping for stupid mistakes.
Yeah. Everybody ready? I'm gonna open it.
Yes, just get on with it.
Everyone else swallowed and nodded. I grabbed the lever and pulled it down. Oh god, that is gonna be what's gonna happen, isn't it? Because at this point it's too late, the door's gonna only be open for 9 seconds. So we can't go investigate and get out.
I don't remember this though, which is odd.
Sigma, why? And every time we jump, there's flashbacks involved.
9 door has been opened. It will...
Yep. Alright everybody, let's move! I didn't need to tell them twice. The room inside was clearly a loading elevator. It looked sort of like a large plate on top of a huge pedestal. We ran to the center of the plate and turned around. The number 9 door stood wide open.
1 0. The number 9 door is closing.
You know what is probably going to happen?
What?
We probably needed to... Because we explored the garden on the Alice route, didn't we? The garden was like the first room we ever explored. So... Or the second one, I guess. We probably have to jump back to that point in the timeline to be able to investigate the grave. Because we should theoretically have the key then as well, right?
I guess, yeah, but then we haven't disarmed the bombs yet.
We haven't, but we could still have opened the thing before, right? Technically, we could have opened the grave at any time in this route. We have the opportunity to.
I guess.
But that's the only time we would have the opportunity to, like, investigate and click on it as a player. Maybe not. Maybe we'll get a route split here when they go, oh dang it, I forgot to use the key. But if the game just ends here, then maybe that's what we would need to do as a player, is go back to the point where we could have done it. To unlock a bonus.
The number 9 door has closed. This ends the nonary game. Thank you for your participation. As the game is over.
Yep, all of the doors have been unlocked, which doesn't mean anything to anybody, really, unless Dio lops his hand off to get out of those cuffs. Because nobody should still be stuck inside.
Besides Akane.
Yeah, but I assume she's got administrator access. I would think. Although she was initially intended to be a player. So, I mean... But she could have had administrator access if they foresaw that possibility and programmed it in.
I doubt she was actually intended to be a player, though.
Yeah.
Yes. We should keep moving.
Beyond the door was a wide hallway that ended in a very solid wall. To the left, we found a very familiar-looking door. We pushed it open and went in. Yeah, so we're in the pressure exchange chamber.
You know what this place is?
Yeah, sort of. This whole facility is pressurized, apparently. I think the idea is to keep the air outside and consequently the virus from getting in. That means that if we want to go out, we have to decompress so we match the outside air pressure. This room here is where you prepare for going into the actual pressure exchange chamber. You see all those suits along the wall? I figure we need to put those on and head to the decompression room downstairs.
Whoa! Hold on a minute! You're saying the air outside is full of that horrible virus?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. Of course, according to Akane, we were already infected with Radical 6, so the whole room seemed a little pointless.
Why? How did all this happen?
Did they?
No, that's not possible.
We've come this far. We can't turn back now. Let's go outside. There's no way to know what's really going on until we do.
But can Kay get one of those
All
suits
right.
on? Does he need to? No one else objected. We all donned the protective suits and headed downstairs to the decompression room. I would like to see Kay wearing both suits at the same time.
Yeah.
As soon as we were all inside, the process began. Through my helmet, I could hear the soft hiss of air being sucked out of the room. We stood there for several minutes, waiting for the process to finish. At last it did, and we heard the door begin to open. And then there were 2 more chambers after that one. Beyond it was another decompression chamber. We repeated the process 2 more times before we reached the final door and opened it. The dead, bleak landscape wasn't a surprise for me. I'd seen it before, in another timeline. The others hadn't, however, and although I couldn't see their faces through the visors of their helmets, I heard more than a few gasps over the radio. For a few long moments, we just stood there, astonished.
Where the hell are we?
The desert, I guess?
I figured that out. I mean, which one?
I don't know, but I think I know what day it is. Look at the moon. It's red, right? That means today's the total lunar eclipse.
So?
Remember the astronomy magazine in the lounge? Well, the next eclipse like this was gonna be on December 31st, 2028.
And if you read the article and remember, that would also probably give you a vague region of the Earth that you must be on, because it will only be visible from at that time, and it would only be visible from certain places on the Earth.
Yeah.
So,
Wait a minute. Let me get this straight. Are you suggesting we were sleeping for a week after we were abducted?
I think so.
No. So the trick is the trick here that this is actually the lunar moon, another lunar eclipse that's like 50 years after the one that was in that article.
Maybe, though the moon does look slightly different.
Does it?
Yeah, the craters are different slightly.
Wherever we were, must have been far away from any city. The air was clearer than I'd ever seen it. And the stars, the sky was full of them. More stars than I'd ever seen in my life. I could even spot the hazy arm of the Milky Way. But the most striking feature was the moon. It was blood red and massive. Much bigger, in fact, than I remembered it being. Is it not the moon? Then, as I watched, a black spot began to move across its surface. It was hard to see details, but it looked circular. The spot continued to move across the moon, heading for the right edge. What's that? It's a shadow.
The moon. Well, the moon's shadow, actually.
The moon's shadow? I frowned. That didn't make any sense.
Zero told me to stay quiet. I think he was worried I'd spill the beans on his operation. He said if I didn't toe the line, he wouldn't just kill me. He'd kill Quark, too. And I agreed, like an idiot, and brought Quark with me. Just so I could see her. Such an idiot. So, that being the case, might as well start with this. I meant what I said before. That up there is the moon's shadow.
What the hell are you saying?
Think about it. If that's the moon's shadow, then what's it falling on?
That's Earth?
Yeah,
Then what the hell are we standing on?
you get from a lunar eclipse. Then again, this isn't a lunar eclipse. It's a solar eclipse. Anybody in the black spot down there is looking up at the moon covering the sun.
So we're standing on the moon.
Yep.
What? No, no way! If that's the Earth, then where the hell are we?
The moon, of course. This is the lunar surface. We were just inside a moon base. No way. No, you've got to be lying. How do you expect us to believe that? This can't be the moon.
Yeah. That's pretty ridiculous. Besides, if this was the moon, how do you explain the gravity? The moon only has 1/6 of the Earth's gravity. So what's this?
She picked up a rock and dropped it.
See? That looked perfectly normal.
Yes, it looked that way.
Luna?
You were right about the gravity in a way. I was one of the people who knew this wasn't Earth. Well, I suppose I'm not people, if we're being honest, but
Excuse me?
please just listen. Alice, you were infected with Radical 6. Then we gave you the Accelavir, which cured you. The Radical 6 isn't completely gone, though. Some of its symptoms stick around for a while.
What symptoms?
Well, Radical 6 can slow down your brain's processing speed by the root of 1/6. It can take a while for your brain to get back up to speed.
So we're all moving at 1/6 speed?
Yeah. Imagine being Luna in this situation and having to talk really slowly for us all.
Oh, God. I mean, well, she'd have to be a robot. Nobody else could do it.
Yeah.
Every one of us has been infected. In other words, all of our brains have been processing information at a much lower speed. If you evaluated the root of 1/6, you'll get a number close to 0.408. That means our brains are running at something slightly less than half speed.
But doesn't this have problems with, like, pitch concerns?
Maybe. It's kind of hard to say when you're talking about slowing your brain's processing, which doesn't really exist in a normal person's life.
As you said before, the moon's gravity is about 1/6 that of Earth's. The time that it takes for an object to fall is inversely proportional to the square root of the gravitational acceleration. Since the gravity is lower on the moon, that means the time increases. I guess that's a little technical. Let me give you an example. Say you drop an apple from a height of 4.9 meters. It will take approximately 1 second to hit the ground. On the moon, however, that time would be 1 second times root 6, which would be approximately 2.45 seconds. I used 4.9 meters because it matches up with the acceleration of gravity nicely, but it could be anything. The gravity constant is, well, a constant. You could drop something from 10 centimeters or 10 meters and it would be the same. Does that make sense? So now we've established that on the moon, things fall root 6 times slower than they do on Earth. That being the case, what would happen if someone's brain slowed down by root 1/6? To them, 2.45 seconds would feel like 1 second. 4.9 seconds would feel like 2. But it's not hypothetical. That's what's been happening to every one of us. Wait, you're saying that's the reason we didn't notice the weaker gravity?
But then what about when we slow down even more? Because there's been times when we've been even slower than everybody else. So then we'd have to be more than root 6 slower if that was what everybody's default base was, right?
Yeah, but you might get even sicker from an infection, I guess.
So then Radical 6 isn't always root 6.
Yeah,
it varies.
That's just the most common form, I guess.
Right.
Are you sure you didn't notice anything? Think back. Huh? You and Sigma and Phi said something about it in the lounge. About how you felt weird.
It's kind of like my body isn't really mine.
sort of floating. Like that?
Also, all the times that Phi jumped up into the air.
That does make sense now, actually. Her superhuman jumping ability. I guess she's the only one who's jumped, hasn't she?
Yeah. And only like
It seemed
in the AB room stuff.
Yeah. It seemed insane, but what Luna said made sense. In fact, it explained Phi's apparently superhuman strength quite well.
Oh. Yeah, I guess she jumped over you that one time to escape as well.
That means she didn't hit Dio nearly as hard as I thought. That's a shame.
Wait, this is crazy. That can't possibly be Earth out there. Look at it. I've seen photos of Earth, and it's blue and green and beautiful. That thing is just red.
Before we get into that, I should probably tell you something. This isn't New Year's Eve in 2028. Today is January 27th.
In 29?
No.
39? 49?
Don't tell me. 30?
Still no.
Then just what year is this?
69?
It's 74.
Oh.
2074.
I didn't realize it'd be that far into the future.
Yeah, I mean, that's how Tamioji got to be an old man instead of just being like in his 20s.
I guess that is less than 50 years, so actually that's not so bad. No, that's insane. That would mean we were abducted more than 45 years ago!
I don't blame you if you don't believe me, but it's the truth.
How can you be sure?
It's not that hard. Quark and I left Earth on January 23rd, 2074. Solar eclipses are easy to predict. We've known that there'd be one on the 27th for a long time. That's just science. Nobody can change that.
But why is the Earth red?
That's a long story. About 45 years ago, on April 13th, 2029, there were 18 annihilation reactors operating in various parts of the world. On the 13th, all 18 of them went up, all at the same time. The explosion was about 180,000 times as powerful as the atom bomb they dropped on Hiroshima.
What? Why?
I suppose it started a few months before that. The government had a test site for a future Mars mission out in the middle of Nevada. On December 31st, 2028, there was an accident. Well, accident doesn't quite convey the right sense of the thing. The point is, Radical 6 claimed its first victims there, then escaped. Didn't take long for it to spread to the rest of the world. Like Luna explained, the virus slows your brain down, but eventually, it also makes you kill yourself. Pretty soon, the bodies started to pile up. Some people would take a dive off a building or shoot themselves in the head. You know, the classics. But for some, it was poison, or fire, or asphyxiation, or the noose. Plenty of people jumped in front of trains or cars. One pilot on a passenger airline drove his plane into the ground. Most forms of transportation ground to a halt pretty fast. That meant food couldn't get distributed, and thousands of people who weren't even infected died from starvation. Everywhere you went, there were just piles of corpses, covered in flies and rats and crows. I don't know what hell's like, but I imagine it's a lot like that. After a while, people who managed to avoid getting infected started trying to get in touch with one another. They got a hold of some radios and organized a couple meetings. There was only one thing to discuss, of course. How could they get rid of Radical 6? The answer, they decided, was purification. They figured they could just roast the surface of the Earth and that'd kill the virus off for good. On April 13th in 2029, they put their plan into effect. That plan was to detonate all 18 annihilation reactors.
It's quite extreme.
Now the truth is, that's mostly just rumor. Nobody really knows what happened, but I've got my own theories. I think that the bombers had already been infected, and when they died, they took billions with them. The ultimate if I die, you're coming with me gesture, I suppose. I'd bet you money they'd all lost it long before they got to the reactors. Killing most of the world, no matter how bad things had gotten, was not a sane plan, even if it wasn't directly responsible. Radical 6 killed most of the people on Earth. Anyway, why it happened isn't that important. Point is, it happened. You ever heard of nuclear winter? Well, that's basically what we got. The explosion threw a ton of crap up into the stratosphere, where it joined up with smoke and ash from all the fires. It blotted out the sun for 7 years. Plants withered and animals died by the millions. The few humans who were left banded together to survive. They were rough times. Eventually they were over, though. The sky cleared and the sun came back. Plants started blooming again, and the animals that hadn't died out completely began to reappear. Things weren't quite back to normal, though. It's been 45 years now, but there's still quite a bit of dust and ash in the air. That's what you're seeing. You know why a sun sets red? Well, this is the same thing. Blue and green light have short wavelengths, and they scatter when they run into debris in the air. Red light, on the other hand, has a longer wavelength, which means it'll get a lot farther when the air's dirty. So there you are. The Earth looks red because that's the only color of light that can make it through the atmosphere.
I was speechless. What could I possibly say? There was no reason for Temyoji to lie to us. So we were standing on the moon, looking at the Earth. It was 2074. But why? Why were we there? Why were we then? I was so lost in thought, I barely noticed Phi's approach.
Hey, Sigma. I think I figured something out.
A window popped up on the inside of my helmet with Whisper in the corner. She seemed to be using a circuit only we could hear. Yeah? No, this is where we spend 5 minutes trying to figure out how we activate the Whisper channel on our suit. What is it?
I figured out why there's an extra E.
An extra E? Oh, you mean the graffiti?
Yeah, the one on floor B. I think it's an anagram, just like on floor A.
What's Anna say this time?
God damn it, Sigma! Knock it off! Memento mori if the 9th lion ate the sun. If you rearrange the letters, you get... The man on the moon rules the infinite time. See?
Yeah, that wasn't happening.
You need 6 E's to get that. So they stuck an extra one in 9th.
The man on the moon rules the infinite time.
I think it's a message for us from Zero Senior and Akane. Remember what she was telling us?
We created the AB project for one purpose: to transport the consciousnesses of 2 people into the past. Those 2 people are you, Sigma, and you, Phi.
So, what are you getting at?
My God, you're slow. You don't get it? They're saying we rule the infinite time. Infinite time. They weren't just talking about having us jump a couple hours. I think they're planning to send us back. Way back.
Well, wait a minute. Are you saying you think they're gonna send us back 45 years?
Yeah. I'd bet on it.
So the ultimate purpose of the AB project is to send us back in time to that catastrophe Temyoji was talking about.
I think so.
That doesn't make sense, though. I mean, we came from that same time period. Before it, actually. So why bring us here and then send us back, so that you can get the cure for Radical 6?
Well, Akane should be able to tell us the rest. Let's go pay her a visit.
Do you know where she is?
I've got an idea. Come on, think. Remember what she said when she gave you the key?
Tu fui ego eris.
The grave! The one in the garden!
come on, what are you waiting for? Let's go.
We turned and ran back into the pressure exchange chamber, the others following close behind.
What are you doing? Did you forget something?
We're going to go have a talk with somebody.
Who?
You really need me to spell it out? The person behind all this.
You mean Akane?
What?
I'll take that as a yes. Let me accompany you then.
Wait,
He's remembered.
why do you know about Akane?
I'll tell you when we get there. Now, if you please. I'm coming with you. You folks just said the magic word.
I'm going too then.
So am I.
Hey, is this Akane you're talking about?
Yeah, you know her real well.
Wait, you're serious? What the hell is going on?
Ah, shut up! Just shut up! Come if you want to. We don't need to do roll call. Once we get there, Akane can explain everything. With that, we headed back through the airlock. I didn't realize we can actually get back into the facility.
I mean, we probably wouldn't really know that. But
That we're able to get back in?
yeah.
I guess we're just guessing we can get back in.
Mhm.
Apparently we can get back in, yeah.
Yeah. It's against the rules of the AV game, or nonary game, but I guess
Well,
those
I
don't
mean-
matter when you reach the right ending.
The nonary game is over, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
they said the game is over.
Ah, clever.
I guess the nonary game rules don't really prohibit you from leaving once the game is over. It's just there's no way to leave once the game is over because the door can't open from the inside.
Oh,
The number 9 door on floor A is shut forever once the game ends. Assuming Zero Jr. was telling the truth, of course. But the door on floor B...
Yeah. Thought we might be able to take the lift to it. And it looks like I was right.
Oh,
yeah.
Any idea where Akane might be?
yeah. The grave.
You mean the grave in the garden?
Yeah. Don't worry. I don't think she's buried there or anything. Chances are she's alive. Just in the grave. Anyway, let's move. To the garden. That would have made his heart skip a bit.
Yeah.
Skip a beat.
We put her in a grave. Now it's your turn, Tanmyoji.
Here's a shovel. You can do the work. We've done our bit.